Well, thank you everyone for coming, for joining us today. We just had a very nice presentation downstairs about a lot of the things that are being done here at the lab and with students about what we do going forward. But today I'm excited to announce that I'm forming a new Cybersecurity Task Force to help protect the security of Idaho's citizens, businesses, and of course our elections, the foundation of a free society. Cybersecurity intrusions, corruption, and fraud are global threats that challenge the security of all citizens, businesses, and governments at every level. Across our state, throughout the nation, there are few more pressing threats to our safety, security, freedom than cyber attacks. From the power that lights and heats our homes, to manufacturing facilities that packages the food we eat, to modals used to transport both transportation and goods, cyber vulnerabilities are present in all the systems that sustain our lives. It is this susceptibility that makes this new task force an immediate need. Idaho businesses depend more and more on technology and connectivity, and it is imperative they are equipped with security essential to better protect their businesses. I've asked my task force to provide me recommendations that improve business, government, personnel's cybersecurity procedures. I've asked them to identify cybersecurity assets, resources, and public-private partnerships across Idaho. In addition, I'm directing the task force to examine and propose new ways to ensure Idaho's election infrastructure remains secure, transparent, and resilient from new and evolving threats. I want to thank Idaho Department of Commerce Director Tom Keeley and Associate Lab Director Zach Tudor for co-chairing the task force. I also want to thank the other 17 members of my task force, who are largely private sector cybersecurity experts, including representatives from financial technology, network security, and public utilities, as well as government officials, including representatives from the Idaho National Laboratory, Office of Emergency Management, the Idaho Office of Information Technology, and Idaho Research Institutions. In addition, the task force will include 3 legislators: Senator Jim Woodward, Representative Brooke Green, and Representative Dustin Manwaring. Thanks to all of you for your participation in this important effort. I would also like to extend a special thanks to longtime Secretary of State Bennion for stepping up to serve on my task force. As Idaho's former Chief Elections Officer, his input on the task force will be extremely valuable. People's confidence in the value of their vote relies on security and resilience of the infrastructure in the electoral process. An electoral process that is secure, transparent, resilient is one of my highest priorities. That's why I've challenged the task force to examine and propose new ways to ensure Idaho's elections remain secure now and into the future. I'm committed to working collaboratively with those on the front lines of elections, state and local government, election officials, our federal partners, private vendors to ensure risk to Idaho's election infrastructure. Through the formation of this new task force, Idaho will further its efforts to secure the state's election infrastructure from new and evolving threats. I'm also asking the task force to come up with recommendations on how to enhance the educational pipeline for cybersecurity workforce needs. Across the nation, we need more trained professionals working in cybersecurity roles. Through partnerships with the Department of Homeland Security, Idaho's Workforce Development Council, Idaho's public universities and colleges, Idaho is committed to preparing the next generation of cybersecurity professionals and forging a talent pipeline for a more secure future. Recent cybersecurity initiatives across the state have advanced cybersecurity workforce development initiatives, but there is much more to do. The development of cybersecurity programs in all of Idaho's colleges and universities, and even here in Bonneville County, where I was out at the Career Technical Facility associated with the school district, the start of cyber education and cyber awareness is growing. They will all play a large role in creating necessary workforce to address global cybersecurity challenges. The presence of the Idaho National Laboratory and the recently launched CyberCore Integration Center provide an ideal platform for workforce advancement and collaboration between government, private sector, and academia. My new Cybersecurity Task Force plans to meet 4 times between August and November of 2021 and provide a set of recommendations in early 2022. Thank you again to the members of the task force. Now I'll have Commerce Director Tom Keeley say a few words, and then Zach Tudor, who will also have some comments, and then we'll take your questions. Tom?
Thank you, Governor Little. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Keeley. I'm the Director of Commerce for the state of Idaho. First, I want to thank Governor Little for his leadership and foresight to address this important state, national, and international issue. I want to thank my co-chair, Mr. Zach Tudor, for bringing his tremendous national security experience and INL resources to this statewide effort. I want to thank members of the task force, a group of recognized cyber leaders from across Idaho, for giving their time and expertise to the governor's task force. And thanks to our strategic planning team from Commerce and INL for their efforts now and in the future. As the state of Idaho's lead economic development agency, we work closely with businesses, communities, and universities across Idaho to identify opportunities as well as issues. We work together and collaborate toward solutions for more prosperity and improved quality of life in Idaho. Having played sports and with many years in the private sector, various sayings apply for today and for this task force. Offense is the best defense, actions beat inaction, teamwork and many heads are better than one, and hard work yields positive results. So for Idaho businesses, organizations, communities large and small, cyber attacks and ransomware are among the greatest threats faced today to our economy and quality of life. Beyond our businesses and communities, in our ever-connected online world, Idaho citizens and families are increasingly vulnerable to more sophisticated cyber attacks. I personally have been a victim to identity theft for a fraudulent unemployment claim in another state that I shared with the governor early this year. I imagine all of us here today have a similar story or know someone that has had a similar story. These new criminal activities are prevalent and have a large economic and social cost on Americans. According to the Skybox Security 2020 Vulnerability and Threat Trends Report, ransomware attacks have increased over 70% just since the beginning of the pandemic. According to Barracuda Network Study, phishing email scams are up by more than 600% since the beginning of 2020. While these threats are substantial, the state of Idaho is uniquely positioned with world-class resources, talented people, and cutting-edge organizations to play a leading role in advancing solutions and developing workforce to meet these challenges for businesses and communities across the United States. As for Idaho businesses, about 60,000 and growing, they depend more and more on precision operations, technology, connectivity, and Internet of Things. It is imperative that they are equipped with the security essentials and a qualified workforce to better protect their businesses. Across Idaho and the nation, we need trained professionals working in cybersecurity roles. These professionals are critical for the security and for both the public and the private sector. According to the Idaho Department of Labor, cybersecurity job openings in Idaho increased 28% in 2020. With rising phishing attacks fueled by increased connectivity and widespread remote working, the cybersecurity industry is set to grow even more rapidly. Idaho is headquartered for many cybersecurity companies like Count, now an Equifax company, and we have one of the largest FBI facilities for cybersecurity located here in Idaho. There are currently over 200 Idaho businesses operating within the state that offer cybersecurity products and services, including but not limited to cloud security, penetration testing, brand protection, data loss protection, and cybersecurity training. Despite the rapid growth in industry over the past decade, Idaho's cybersecurity cluster still has room to grow. The potential to develop a thriving ecosystem is present in nearly every region across the state. Recent cybersecurity initiatives across the state will play a considerable role in addressing global cybersecurity challenges, but there's more to do, as the governor has stated. Our Commerce team and I look forward to working with my co-chair and the members of the new Cybersecurity Task Force to identify issues, areas of opportunity, and develop strong recommendations to the governor. Like the governor, we all care about our state and country and want to defend it. Thank you again, Governor Little, for your leadership on cybersecurity. I'd like to turn the mic over to Zach, my co-chair. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zach Tudor. I am the Associate Laboratory Director for Idaho National Laboratory's National and Homeland Security Science and Technology Directorate. At INL, I have the privilege of leading more than 800 employees and subcontractors in performing critical national security research to protect our country from a wide range of risks and concerns. Cyber and infrastructure security are key focus areas for the laboratory, and we bring more than 20 years of experience in this global technical challenge. But before I discuss those challenges in more detail, I want to express my sincere thanks to Governor Little for commissioning this task force and for entrusting us to deliver recommendations to help the state of Idaho become more cyber secure. I'd also like to thank Idaho's congressional delegation and Director Keeley for their long support of INL's research mission, and specifically for advocating and supporting this task force. And in particular, thanks to Senator Jim Risch, who was instrumental in advocating for this task force, given his national role on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. As recent events have shown, this is a critical issue for states and communities to address, and I'm proud to serve Idaho in this capacity. Now I'd like to take a few minutes to paint a global perspective on the cybersecurity challenges our country faces and how this task force will work to address them, especially here for Idaho. I've spent my entire professional career in the field of information technology and security, from my time in the Navy to work in the private sector at the United States Department of Homeland Security and now here at INL. And I can tell you this, cybersecurity is one of the biggest national security challenges we face as a nation. It's no different than counterterrorism has been for the last 2 decades. Our adversaries see cyber vulnerabilities and sabotage as the best opportunity to gain a strategic advantage against us. Recent events, from the hacking of U.S. pipelines and water treatment facilities to election security concerns, supply chain vulnerabilities, and a persistent shortage of workers, these are all very concerning. Today, cybersecurity can no longer be treated as an afterthought, particularly as it involves critical systems like the electric power grid, our manufacturing facilities, agricultural processing, and election services. As we begin to use and rely more on technology like artificial intelligence, 5G wireless technologies, blockchain, quantum computing, the impact of disruption becomes more significant. Cybersecurity is now fundamental across all our engineering, business, and operational environments, and we need to get a better handle on it. Right now, we just don't have enough people pursuing careers in this specialty area. In fact, the International Information Systems Security Certification Consortium, or ISC squared, reports that there are more than 3 million unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs around the world right now. And whenever I mention ISC Squared, I do like to point out that the concept of that certification consortium was developed here at Idaho State University over 30 years ago. And I'll also mention that I'm the chairman of the board of ISC Squared right now. Data suggests that employment in the cybersecurity field needs to grow by 41% in the US alone, just to meet the current need. This is even though the average cybersecurity worker in America earns around $112,000 annually. The jobs are there and the financial incentives are there, but we still need more students to pursue cybersecurity education and careers. We need workers to have access to more robust cybersecurity training. We need citizens at all levels to have a basic understanding of cybersecurity. And we need more investments to secure our nation's infrastructure. And we need better coordination between state and federal government. As a country, we have a lot of work to do to shore up our defenses and prepare our citizens for the completely connected and digital future we are entering. But I believe this task force is another great step in the right direction. 2 years ago, the state financed and constructed the Cybercore Integration Center, as the governor did point out in that direction, as well as our Collaborative Computing Center on the INL campus. Those facilities are in use every single day, and we are working aggressively to solve some of the nation's most critical cyber and computing challenges, while also educating the next generation workforce through internships, fellowships, and postdoctoral assignments. Idaho has a real opportunity to set itself apart from other states in how we plan, prepare, and respond to these challenges. I'm optimistic that this task force will address many of these issues through a set of clear recommendations to the governor and state legislature, and that they can be able to act on them. Again, I want to thank Governor Little for his leadership and foresight in setting up this task force to deal with these important issues. And to all the task force members, thank you for your commitment to this as well. Now let's just get to work. Thank you very much.
Let's go ahead and take some questions now from the media. Any questions?
I guess I'm Andrea Olson with East Idaho News. How big, and I'm sorry if I missed it, how big is this task force?
13?
19 total.
19.
19. Are those included right
Yep,
here?
they're in the page 2.
I just wanted to double check. Thank you very much.
Julian Parras with KPBI News in Pocatello. In regards to the state situation for cybersecurity, is there a reason why you felt that this was, I guess, important right now to announce? Has there been anything happening over the course of the last 6 months in the state that would give cause to pause?
How much time we got?
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, and actually, let me give you a little historical perspective. When I was lieutenant governor, and this issue was coming up, and I was very blessed to spend quite a bit of time. I was chairing the Line Commission, the Leadership and Nuclear Energy Commission. I did the first kind of cyber report for Governor Otter, and we had a report 5 years ago, John, something like that. And so as a result, it's been a progression of a lot of different things. We now have, in his direct report to the governor, which was in the last administration, our chief IT for our whole, I was with Jeff Week, the director, last night. But there's been a lot going on, and of course the lab has always had a very keen interest in cybersecurity, a lot from the control side, but I mean, literally everywhere you go, it's a critical issue. The utility side of it and the energy side of it is something that is a role and mission that the Department of Energy, the President, Congress recognizes, and it was referred to Senator Risch's keen interest in it. There have been a lot of things that have happened in the last year, mainly because of some of the stresses that have been on our system because of the COVID pandemic. But we've been told, and a lot of that information, and I'll let Zach talk about it, but it's just happening all the time, and we're trying to, as Director Keeley said, we're trying to get out of the full defense mode into an offense mode. And if you don't have something like that, you can't do the conversion of defense to offense, and that's what we're trying to do. And the biggest problem is just these students that I just heard from downstairs. They're our hope. But one of the questions we had downstairs is the need for 1,700 new cyber people. But there's a lot of cyber jobs people don't even know they need. There's businesses that, you know, one day they're going to wake up and they're going to get a ransomware demand. And when they do the post-mortem after it, they're going to say, boy, I needed somebody in cyber. And so a lot of this is education and awareness, particularly to our smaller businesses. You know, the big utilities, the Rocky Mountains, the Idaho Powers, the Avistas, they've known about this for a long time. And the lab's been a big part of it. The smaller utilities are even more aware of it. But there's a lot of small businesses that really just aren't aware of the risks that the financial risk that they take without having either A, somebody on their staff, or B, having somebody engaged to make sure they're in the right shape. So Zach, you want to add on to that?
Thank you, Governor. I want to say one thing. When the building that we have for our Cyber Integration Center for our high-performance computing, part of the commitment that we made as a national lab, and it's really a commitment that we've had the entire time this has been a lab, is to work more with the community to set an example for cybersecurity, but also to build examples that the nation can use to better provide cybersecurity workforce, jobs, better protections. And when we were initially asked, how can you know, a small lab like INL in a small state like Idaho make a national impact, we can say by setting the example. And I think the state is now doing the same thing. You know, they have tremendous resources here. We have great universities, we have great industry partners, we have a great national lab, and working together, we can set an example for other states to prepare their own types of cyber task force with recommendations that can help improve the cybersecurity for their citizens. We work very closely with the universities throughout the state, whether it's in helping to develop standardized curriculums or developing new programs, fellowships, internships. And I think a lot of the things that we do are really exportable, and we're going to show that to the world.
Do you have any other questions from the media?
This next question comes from one of our online chats, and it comes from Alan Stevens from the Idaho Business Review. His question is, the state has awarded funding to cybersecurity projects in the last couple of years. Is more funding anticipated to become available in the near future? And if so, how might it be awarded to Idaho-based initiatives and collaborations?
Well, the short answer is yes. The long answer is that's actually one of the recommendations that we want the task force that they're both chairing to make recommendations. You know, what investments do we make today that lessen the vulnerability of, and you heard the litany, businesses, government at all levels, critical infrastructure. What investments do we make today? And as we were talking downstairs, you know, cyber criminals move at almost Moore's Law, which the speed doubles every 17 months. I can't remember when I studied Moore's Law. You guys can tell me. And so what we're trying to do is scale up what we're doing from a preparation standpoint, an education standpoint, a training standpoint, to where the cyber team from top to bottom can best be on their toes. So if there's a threat, and that's going to be, you know, if you look at the members of this task force, there's some of them that that's their whole livelihood. In the, you know, the count which recently got sold, which Brad Wiskersham sits on, that's, you know, that company went from 0 to $700 million.
Exit in January of this year to Equifax, one of the biggest credit reporting companies.
And that's because of what they do. Obviously, the major utilities, Cradle Point's the same issue. This is really a high-powered, and I'm humbled that Tom did a good job to get all these people to be part of this. And that's why it's kind of got a limited duration. But I started off with a short question, yes. The long answer is they're going to help us prioritize how that money's appropriated.
Okay. Alex also asked a follow-up question and wants to know if there's an anticipated timeline for that potential funding.
Well, the report's going to be out early next year, we have, you know, my agencies, the state agencies, have submitted their budget request to our office. We're going through that line by line, and of course, one of the other things we did was 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? We put $1 million. No, was it 2 years ago or last year? We put the $1 million in. Kevin knows, 2 years ago, which was an add-on that we did to the budget, so that all three institutions would work in a coordinated manner on what we're doing in cybersecurity, and that's taking place right now as we do a backward look at that $1 million. Where do we get the biggest bang for our buck? What do we amp up for the next process? But we're going through the budget process now. But I would tell you that, you know, and we've got 3 good legislators on this task force. I would tell you that I am quite certain that the legislature, that requests will have a pretty soft landing at the legislature, because you know, most anybody that is aware of the business risks out there knows how important this is. So I'm optimistic that even if we get some proposals late, we might be able to fill them into this budget. We do have a little bit of cash this year.
We have time for one more question. Is there any questions from the audience? Okay, well with that,
all right.
thank everyone for
Thanks, everybody.